Now, the two decibel measurements we'll be dealing with, dB-SPL and dB-FS, have 0 dB as two different standardized reference points. So with decibels sound pressure level, 0 dB is the reference point where below that level, humans can't hear any sound. So if you have 0 dB and 80 dB, you'll know that 80 dB is 80 dB louder than the limit where humans can hear. The standardized reference point for dBFS, decibels full scale, is 0 dB, and that represents the maximum value in a fixed point digital system, which we'll go into now. So decibels full scale is the number you're going to be seeing in your DAW in Pro Tools. And this is very important to understand right now. So we talked about the standardized reference points before. So dB-SPL, it's 0 dB, which is the limit of human hearing. In dBFS, decibels full scale, you're in a digital system, and the standardized reference point of 0 dB is the maximum value of a fixed point in digital systems. So if you go above 0 dB in Pro Tools, if your audio goes up, you have the green, the yellow, and then you'll hit red. That is called digital clipping and distortion, and that's bad. We don't want that. When you see that in your DAW, you hit the red, you can click that red dot and it'll get rid of it, and then you'll need to bring your gain down. So when you look at your fader here, you'll see that the fader has a unity gain set at 0 dB. Digital audio levels are negative numbers. So 0 dB is your maximum value before clipping occurs. It may have seemed strange to you if you've used these DAWs before that there's negative numbers, but this is why it occurs, because 0 dB is the maximum value, and you'll be setting your fader mainly at negative values, but you can go above, which I'll explain now. This next point is really important to understand. So in your DAW, loudness is measured in dBFS, decibels full scale. And if you look at your fader here, the fader is set at 0 dB, which is your unity gain. What's happening here is the raw file, which will be your voice, it's being allowed to pass through the system unaffected. So it's raw, it's not being decreased or increased in level. And if you take the fader down to -3 dB, the original file is being reduced by -3 dB in volume. If you move it to +3 dB, you're increasing it by +3 dB. And don't get confused here, because 0 dB, what we just defined before, is your maximum value where above that clipping will occur. But the individual fader here, it's not addressing the final dB level of your sound. It's addressing the individual raw file, which might be recorded at -14 dB or something. It won't be 0 dB. So don't get confused there. What the fader is doing, you're reducing the level of the raw file, which even though it's set at 0 dB, that isn't the final volume of your file. So it's at 0 dB. If you go to -3 dB, you're decreasing the sound by 3 dB of the original file, which could be recorded at -14 dB. If that makes sense, it's kind of confusing. It's very important to understand that 0 dB is your unity gain. Your audio file is passing through unaffected, and then up or down, you're changing the original audio file. When we learn how to use Pro Tools later in the course, we'll see the master fader, and the master fader is controlling your entire mix levels. So all the different channels, say you have 3 voices, the master fader is controlling the level of all those 3 voices at the same time. Okay, so there's one more measurement we need to look at, and that's called LUFS, L-U-F-S, and that stands for loudness units relative to full scale. So when we do the final mix down of your podcast, this is the crucial number that we need to look at. Okay, so recapping, we have dB-SPL, which is decibels sound pressure level, dB-FS, which is decibels full scale, and LUFS, which is loudness units relative to full scale. And you'll see the practical application of these measurements later on in the course. dB-SPL, we won't really be dealing with much, but dB-FS and LUFS we'll be seeing a lot. So we'll move on to the next lesson now.